industries now, and I want to invite Sri Chandra Mohan Thakur, IAS Member Secretary, Madhya Pradesh Pollution Control Board, to come on stage and give a special address on mitigating risks of climate change through clean air. A big round of applause for him. But before we give him the mic, let me take this opportunity to welcome him with a bouquet. Can we have a bouquet on stage?
Thank you so much, respected all the honorary people from various organizations. First of all, I congratulate and thank you APAC News Network for organizing such a GreenSummit and also for giving me an opportunity. I represent the Madhya Pradesh Pollution Control Board and the member secretary there, and I also hold the charge of the Deputy Secretary Environment, so I also represent the Environment Ministry of Madhya Pradesh. While we are talking about making our planet green and mitigating the challenges of climate change, I would specifically talk about the quality of air. To begin with, first let me give an introduction of what our organization does. I'm sure most of you must be aware. Pollution control boards are established in all the states as well as at a central level under the Prevention of Air Pollution Act and the Prevention of Water Pollution Acts. And it is the legal mandate of all the pollution control boards to work towards mitigating any acts of air pollution or water pollution happening anywhere across the country. Similarly, Madhya Pradesh Pollution Control Board takes its paths from the two important acts of Prevention of Air Pollution and Prevention of Water Pollution, and later another act of Environmental Protection Act, which is a big umbrella act that gives a lot of powers to pollution control boards to control pollution, whether it comes to biomedical waste or plastic waste and so on and so forth. Since we are a regulatory body, and so our general perception among the industry, among the people, is of a tough guy who always comes up with a control mechanism, who tries to trouble the industry, who brings sanctions and closures, etc. But recently there has been a lot of interaction between the industry and the pollution control boards, and nowadays we are working in a cooperative manner. We try to work together to solve the problem, both of the economy as well as the environment. As part of the ease of doing business, now all the processes of consents to operate, consents to establish for any industry have been made online. And not only that, we commit a timeline. As the board, we commit that the day the industry applies for a consent to operate or a consent to establish, we'll give the consent within 30 days. And if we are not able to give it in 30 days, then a deemed consent may be approved for the industry. But on the other side, we are not only a board that works to promote industry, we are also a board whose primary job is to protect the environment, and especially air pollution and water pollution. Now, when it comes to air pollution, thanks to some of the global summits that has happened on climate change, now for the last decade or so, people have been talking about ambient air quality. We can see that in various news channels, the air quality of Delhi is being talked about. Every time winters come, then people start talking about air quality, about vehicle emissions, etc. Quite a few years ago, air quality index was designed in India, and we take pride that that index is being now followed across the world. For simpler understanding, the air quality index ranges from 0 to 500. It is a mixture of various parameters, the PM 2.5, particulate matter of the size of 2.5 microns, particulate matter of the size of 10 microns, plus the sum of the oxides of sulfur and nitrogen, which create pollutants. It's a good index which covers all of this. At 0 to 500 is the scale. Anything under 100 is a good score, anything above 100 is a bad score, and anything which goes 300 plus or 400 plus is really not livable for humans. Just to highlight how bad the problem of air pollution has come up, Delhi frequently goes up from 350 plus to 400 air quality index, while Bhopal, which is, although it's very clean, but we also range between 90 to 110. So to give a good example, if you walk in a air conditioned car, recently a lot of vehicle manufacturers have also put up air quality index sensors inside their cars. So if you walk in an air conditioned car, you are traveling in an air conditioned car, and if you switch on the AC in a mode that only the air inside is getting circulated, then the air quality index will actually come down to 36, 38, which is a great air quality index. The moment you switch on that part of the AC which says that you can take ambient air quality, the AQI will increase up to 90, 100, 200. And if you open the window, the air quality index will actually go as bad as 300, 350, which shows that the air quality outside is so bad. So the first and the foremost requirement was that we should know how big or small the problem is. So the first major project that all pollution control boards are doing, and Madhya Pradesh is also doing it very vehemently, is to measure ambient air quality at all prominent places. So we are establishing continuous ambient air quality monitoring systems at various places. Real-time data comes to our monitoring cell, and we monitor it across the state. And now we, for example, now we know that Bhopal is better and Singrauli is worst. So we keep monitoring, and uh, that data is being fed to a central server, which is being monitored by senior scientists, and we try to analyze what are the causes of it. We have also engaged various educational institutes. We have engaged a couple of IITs. We have engaged Automotive Research Institute from Pune, and they are doing studies on where the air quality is getting polluted from. There are various sources, as we all know. Most of us assume that vehicular traffic is a major cause of air pollution. So a lot of talk on reducing traffic. Delhi government has experimented with odd and even to reduce the vehicular traffic. We are talking a lot about electric vehicles and thinking that they will probably reduce pollution. To promote such measures, Government of India, the Ministry of Environment has formulated a National Clean Air Program (NCAP). And first of all, they have identified various cities based on their ambient air qualities, and there's an attainment standards that Government of India has set, and the Central Pollution Control Board has identified about 122 cities in India where the national ambient air quality standards are being violated. And these cities are called non-attainment cities, and especially budget is being allocated to municipal commissions and pollution control boards to work on mitigation measures. In Madhya Pradesh, Bhopal, Indore, Devas, Sagar, Ujjain and Gwalior are the major municipal bodies that have been taken up, and a huge amount of money has started pumping in from since last year. And the government is very keen that any amount of budget required to create solutions to mitigate the ambient air quality will be done. The mandate that has been given is that at the national level, the concentration of PM 2.5 and PM 10, the particulate matters which are the primary contributors to air pollution, their percentage concentrations have to be reduced by 20 to 30% by year 2024. Recently, I also happened to represent Madhya Pradesh in an international conference held in Bhubaneswar by Minister of Environment and Forest. The conference was again organized on the concept of air quality. It was very rightly named Vayu, and the MOEF is talking about environment now based on the Pancha Tattva of our ancient wisdom, and Vayu happened to be the most important topic on which a lot of discussions happened. There also a lot of scientific papers were being presented, and a lot of new technological innovations are being discussed on how to improve air quality. The first problem, as I mentioned, is measurement, that we should know how bad or good the air quality is. The second step is then mitigation. Now, one way of mitigation is that all the greenhouse gases and all the emissions that are being sent in the air, we have mechanisms to absorb it. And we know that the best natural mechanism available are plants and trees. So a big drive to increase plantation, to increase tree cover, etc. is happening. We already know that Forest Department keeps working on increasing plantation. Recently, city forest as a concept has really come up. A lot of municipal bodies are coming up with establishing city forest. Bhopal has a very good example of an Ekant Park, which generates most of its water from treated sewage water. It's a very clean park. Now, as a Department of Environment, we are promoting environment parks in major cities, and we are in the process of designing big environment parks, at least 10 acres in size, which will not only showcase the various mechanisms which are done to measure environmental standards, air quality monitoring systems, water quality monitoring systems, noise pollution monitoring systems, but will also act as a green cover for that city. This plantation is one major drive, But that also needs a lot of community participation. It cannot be the government responsibility only. Our Chief Minister and the government of Madhya Pradesh initiated a community drive to engage people in plantation activities known as Ankur campaign. The EPCO under the Department of Environment is the nodal agency. Millions of plants have been planted by citizens of Madhya Pradesh, and it is gradually, over the last 1.5 years, gradually becoming a people movement. Our Chief Minister often talks about people should plant tree on their birthdays, on their anniversaries, on any major milestone of their life, and then they should take care of that plant also. So this is one area in which you are working, and major amount of funding is being pumped in through various sources. The money that pollution control boards earns from licensing fees, now that money is being constructively being put to a lot of plantation drives. But this is one part of mitigation. The other is trying to control the source of air pollution. Now, as I said, industry is one source, and when I say industry, the major reason is the combustion that happens, various kind of emissions that happen, and vehicular gases are another source. There are other sources also which we talk less about. For example, a lot of talk is about burning the farms after harvesting. A lot of talk about Punjab and Haryana burning their farms. Similar situation also happens in Madhya Pradesh. Then small incidents, for example, in winters, burning of wood and coal just for heating is also creating a lot of air quality issues for us. Burning of garbage by municipal bodies is also creating a lot of issues for us. On that, I want to tell that air quality is not something, or air pollution is not something that we can look at it isolation. It is a culmination of all the various waste management and pollution issues. For example, when we talk about air quality, we are not talking about plastic waste, but we are not talking about tires, we are not talking about vehicles. When we talk about vehicles, we think that electric vehicles are going to be a solution to air pollution. Now, today, say 100 years ago, the number of vehicles in the country or in the world were limited. Today, old vehicles are in itself a big waste that we need to deal with. So recently, we are talking about end-of-life vehicle waste management issues. And we think that electric vehicles will be a panacea to this problem. But electric vehicles are going to use a big amount of lithium-ion batteries. Now, again, batteries 50 years ago were not so much in use. They were used only in major industrial places. Today, because of mobile phones and because of so many rechargeable appliances, a huge amount of battery also becoming a big waste issue for us. And for the last many years, after many deliberations, government has come to the conclusion that the management of waste is not the government responsibility alone. Since we have partners from industry and from media here, government has come up with the concept of extended producer responsibility, EPR. The way there is corporate social responsibility, that corporate is also responsible for social development. Similarly, the industry which produces the product, which gets converted to waste, is responsible for collecting back that waste and managing it well. And this is the new concept of circulatory economy that is being talked about across the world and across the country. This is going to be an important topic of discussion during the G20 summit that is being hosted in India. And the EPR for plastic waste, for electronic waste, e-waste, for tires, for end-of-life vehicles, all of that is going to have an impact on air pollution. To just give an example about tires, tires is a huge bulk in which, and it is in a normal vehicle, in the life cycle of a vehicle, probably the tires get changed 4 to 5 times. That amount of waste tire is given to local kabadi walas, and they manage it in their own crude way. So they burn it, and a lot more emissions come up. So the moment you manage the waste of tire, you end up with a pollution of air. So new technologies like pyrolysis, etc., are being worked on. Government is working on the policy framework for that, and hopefully we'll see it being finalized this year. A lot of inputs from tire manufacturers as well as from pyrolysis centers are being taken. But then the responsibility is being fixed on the manufacturers of tires. Similarly, when we talk about electric vehicles, a lot of waste is going to get generated because of the number of batteries that they are going to use. When we talk about clean and renewable energy, now it has taken us 400 years to realize that coal and petroleum are not clean sources of energy. But go back to say 1600 or 1700 century, we were sitting in the 16th century. Anybody who talked about coal energy would have been deemed as a very scientific and a very modern person, and that was the big invention that really fueled the industrial growth of the 16th, 17th, 18th century. Similarly, we talk about wind energy and solar energy with all that excitement today. But solar energy also is going to come through a lot of solar panels and a lot of silica, etc. is going to be used. Now, when they get out of date, 10 years, 20 years down the line, they might also convert into waste, which disposal will again be an issue. As a pollution controlling regulatory body, my appeal generally to industry and to technology institutes is that when we are coming up with new solutions, we should not think with a window of 20 years or 50 years. We should learn from our mistakes that we have done with coal and petroleum and at least have a window of 200, 300, 400 years. That if this problem, the new solution should not emanate a new problem for environment. So, while all these solutions are very welcome and these are definitely going to improve our situation as it is now, but we have to think that if these solutions in themselves, if solar panels or if the batteries in electric vehicles are going to create new waste and their disposal again becomes a problem for water and air pollution, what are the solutions that are going to that we are going to think about? A big role in all of this is the role of technology institutes, all the IITs and the NITs and the research institutes of this country. Also, a big role comes up with a lot of young startups that are coming up in the industry. I'm very excited to share that we are gradually interacting with a lot of startups which are working on new technical solutions, either to measure air quality or to mitigate air quality. Companies are coming with anti-dust air guns which can be sprayed across in a big area and the PM 2.5 and PM 10 concentration can be reduced. So we are coming up with newer and newer technologies. Through this summit, I would like to invite various startups and various technology enthusiasts to think and do research and development and come up with newer solutions to improve these air quality problems. Couple of other things that are also related to air quality is, for example, when we talk about energy solutions, thermal power plants and are linked to coal mines and they consume a lot of amount of coal, and after the coal is consumed in thermal power plants, fly ash is generated. Now, fly ash in itself has become a big problem both for water as well as for air pollution. Now, recently, Government of India, after a great order from National Green Tribunal, has formed a fly ash mission headed by both the Secretary of Power and the Secretary of Environment, and specifically targeting all the thermal power plant clusters. And the mandate earlier was to consume about 25 to 30% of fly ash that was being produced. Now the mandate has increased to consuming all 100% of fly ash that is being consumed. So a lot of work is happening at the policy framework. The Central Pollution Control Board has formed the EPR framework for plastic waste management, for e-waste management, and for tire and paralysis, and they are in process of framing policy guidelines for end-of-life vehicles. We are also working with some of the other states are working with foreign agencies for cheaper technology measures to measure ambient air quality. The present ambient air quality measuring systems are a little cost intensive and can only be done with government support. Smaller size sensors and cheaper sensors are being talked about so that they can come and the way thermometer is there in every house, we can have air quality sensors affordable at every place and we can actually measure how good or bad is the air quality. Good thing is that the conversation on this has begun. Now, all the various stakeholders are sitting in the same room and talking about it. It is no longer the Pollution Control Board's role to talk about air quality. We're glad that industry is also talking about it, media is also talking about it, policymakers are also talking about it. And such a conversation really will help, because environment is not the prerogative of any department, of any government, or of any country. It belongs to the entire human race, to the entire community. So I really congratulate APAC for organizing such a wonderful conference which involves people from various fields. There are people from the government, there are people from the industry, and the people from various fields sharing their experiences. I hope such a conference such a green summit leads to finding better solutions. And I thank you once again for inviting me, for sharing my experiences. I'm new to this sector, but whatever little that I've been able to gather from my department, I've tried to share. I hope this would be of some help to you. Thank you so much for this. Thank you.
I was wondering, Mr. Chandra Mohan Thakur, you're new and you have given such an insight. What happens if you spend 5 years in this department? What kind of insights will get from you? Thank you so much, Mr. Chandra Mohan Thakur. I think you have already said a lot of things, and it makes sense that these are the problems. This is how we can mitigate those problems. Present problem is this: what about the future? There's a very important point you talked about the future. It reminds me of the quote of JFK, John F. Kennedy. At one point of time, in maybe 50, 60 years back, he used to say that anybody who can solve the problem of water management, he should be given 2 Nobels, one for peace and one for science. I think talk of the town is now how we are managing an environment now, along with water, because 2 ways: one is water, one is environment, air. We save this to our future generation, we can get rid of many problems. These are can be social problem, economic problem, but we all have to work together. And you said that whatever knowledge sharing is happening today, I'm again saying that we are going to document that and we're going to share with the stakeholders so that some actions can be taken on the ground. This is just the beginning, not the end. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Chandra Mohan Thakur. I request Shivani Babbar, my senior colleague from APAC News Network, to hand over the plant.